Hey, how's it going? It's November 28th, 2022. This is your daily sweet talk. I don't listen to a lot of podcasts anymore. I pretty much just listen to Being Jim Davis and different narrative podcasts while I shower. But lately, while I've been grocery shopping, I've started listening to like an episode of two guys talking about lettuce every week, which is a podcast I started recently with Craig Benzine and Greg Benson, who you may remember as Wheezy Waiter and Mediocre Films, two YouTubers from back in the day. They're still around. They're still doing stuff. I don't watch either of them very much anymore. Wheezy Waiter is one of my favorite YouTubers, but their current stuff that they do is longer form, and I don't find the topics as interesting. Greg Benson, I never really. That's not a criticism, by the way. Greg Benson, I never really watched consistently, but I like the stuff they make that utilizes their charisma and their improvisational skills. The Yeshman interviews they've done, the Greg answers questions videos. Both of these guys have natural charisma and are good at like carrying a podcast like this, which comes in handy because the topic they chose is so niche that really the podcast ends up being more about filling time and just talking, and often it's more about itself than about lettuce. And I really like that in a podcast, when a podcast is more about itself than the actual topic. I think the idea is really funny, and I think they have a really good dynamic, which is I would best describe their dynamic as two people who should not have a podcast together. They clash in a way that is really fun to listen to. Not they don't like. It's not like they don't get along. They do get along, but their styles of humor are, I don't know. It's a really interesting spot where like it's similar enough to where they have plenty to talk about, but where they they're kind of stepping on each other's I don't know, not lines, because it's not like a scripted thing, but I don't know. It's a hard sell to describe. I would recommend just checking it out and listening. I really like how you can like pick up on the relationship they have through listening to the podcast, which is just seems to be that they know each other as colleagues because well, their names are really similar. They're both ex-waiters with asthma. I remember them doing a video back in the day where it was just like they were. I think Greg did a Wheezy Waiter parody. Yes, I can't remember which one's Greg and which one's Craig. And Craig was in it. What was the other thing? They both became YouTubers and they're in the same circles. So it's not like, it doesn't seem like they're really good friends, but they're just like colleagues who have known each other for a long time, and so I don't know. It's such a specific relationship that they have, that because it's like they don't know each other super well, it seems, except for the fact that they've known each other for a long time, and that makes for a good podcast dynamic, especially because their relationship seems very situational. I don't know, podcasts with two hosts that only really that seem to mostly know each other through the podcast, at least at that time in their life. I find really entertaining. It's the same thing with Being Jim Davis. I mean, I think they not. I mean, I don't know. I think it's interesting when people talk to each other mostly through the podcast. That's how it is with my podcast and my co-hosts. I've been telling them to listen to two guys talking about less, and they haven't yet. I'm gonna keep pushing, and I'm gonna push the audience to this video. If you haven't checked it out, if you remember these YouTubers, check out two guys talking about lettuce. It's a really interesting and fun podcast.